the state has had, and Praniti Shinde, MLA of the Congress in the Maharashtra Assembly. Okay, I'm just going to redo that introduction so that we have it for television. Women leaders in Indian politics. We have a stellar panel of 4 women leaders who've carved their own niche for various reasons. On my extreme left is Heena Gavit. She's a medical doctor who at the age of 26 won an election for the first time and thereby became, I think, the youngest MLA that Maharashtra certainly has had. And remember, youngest MP that Maharashtra has ever had at the age of 26. Pankaja Munde is National Secretary of the Bharatiya Janata Party. Priyanka Chaturvedi is Deputy Leader of the Shiv Sena in the Rajya Sabha. And Praniti Shinde is member of the Maharashtra Assembly. Thank you all very much for joining us. You've got a mic next to each of you. I think it'll be on your, Heena, on your left, I think. Is there a mic? Oh, there's one there. Great. Women leaders in Indian politics. Before this session began, we had a photo shoot with all the 4 women on the panel, and they had a blast. And it made you wonder that if we had more women in parliament, more women in the assembly, you would have much more fun than we have at the moment. Am I right, Priyanka Chaturvedi, that women make far better politicians in general than men do? You can really make a splash, can't you?
Is that even a question to ask? Of course we do. And of course that's what we fight for. We need more women in the parliament, in the assemblies, to make it not just a more fun place, but we need to make it a more equitable space. We need to have an inclusive space, a progressive space, and women come with all of that.
But do the men actually allow you, if I may push that, inside parliament? I always see the men hanging together in their groups, especially those from North India and the Hindi heartland. Do they have space for a woman to actually be part of their biradri in a way, their tribe?
Yes, absolutely they do. And I think they look at us with wonder, okay, you know, okay, she's the one who's the other gender and how do we make conversation? But they're getting used to it because you're ensuring that they get used to it. More the women, more the conversations, and more the, you know, the barriers that they have created over the years breaking down.
Very interesting. Pankaja Munde, you know, you are seen as a, whenever I read you, the sort of so-called rebel within the Maharashtra BJP. And it almost seems if a woman is aggressive, then she could become a rebel. If a man can get away with a lot of things, is it much more difficult for you? And you've had a lot of difficulties in a way taking on the male-dominated establishment of Maharashtra. Honest answer.
Of course, that's what people expect from me anyways. And they're used to it also. Basically, if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I would have answered something different. But my experience of last decade of politics has changed a lot of opinions about things. Because when how we are brought up in a very secured way. So I always thought I am not the victim. I am not somebody lesser than other gender. But now when I'm in real world, in real politics, I feel it is not as easy as for men it is. So of course women have to talk little louder than normal.
What is the biggest difficulty? What is the biggest difficulty for a woman to make her mark in politics?
See, I feel women are judged a lot. That is the biggest difficulty. If you see a man delivering speech, you will wonder how kitna, you know, how progressive speech, how straightforward, how, you know, the whole body language. And if woman talks with that, all the gestures which are acknowledged and praised in a man, they judge her. They say, oh, she's very aggressive, she's very rebel, she's disobedient. I am none of that. I am just myself, which any other man is in this world, but because I am a woman, they judge me a little bit more.
Okay, that's a very, very bold, straight, frank answer. Praniti Shinde, you know, on this panel, 3 of you are daughters of politicians. And therefore the question will arise, is that what gives you the soft entry and makes it easier for you than, let's say, a Mayawati or a Mamta Banerjee, who didn't have any such lineage but had to make it in a very male-dominated world. Was it easier because you were Sushil Kumar Shinde's daughter to make a mark in politics?
I wouldn't lie. I think it is. You have a free pass when you're someone's daughter in politics. Whether you're the daughter or the son, you have a free pass when it's your first election. But we live in a democracy, which is a very healthy, thriving democracy. And again, it takes a lot for a woman to prove herself. So then when you win the second election and the third election, and that's when people realize, okay, she's serious about her work. And then I feel it's your work that counts, and work speaks more than anything else. But you definitely, I think, have a bit of an advantage if you're born in a political family. But at the same time, there are so many expectations when you're born in a political family. You get compared to the person who got you a free pass, and that means there's double pressure as well, because there's comparison all the time. So in comparison to somebody who's, who doesn't have a background, he's not so much in the public glare as much as we are. And then there's always a comparison. So we are always 24/7, we're at work and we're there to prove ourselves, and we have to be in the constituency and answerable to everybody more than somebody who doesn't have a background.
So you're judged both as a woman, politician, and you are judged as the daughter of Sushil Kumar Shinde, or the daughter of Gopinath Munde. And Heena, you're an interesting case study, because you became an MP at 26 while you were doing your MD exam, and you defeated, I think, Manikrao Gavit, who's a multiple-time winner from that constituency.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct.
What for you, I mean, wasn't being a doctor a nicer place to be in than being in politics?
Well, I think that now, if you ask me that question, I would say that yes, it would have been better had I been only a doctor. But yes, of course, getting elected as a member of parliament at the age of 26, and like you mentioned, that contesting against somebody who was a 9-time MP, of course, there were lots of expectations from me, and I had to work, I would say, double than what if in my place there was somebody else. Because if I am contesting at 26 and I'm contesting against somebody who has been a member of parliament for 40 years, then I have to convince how Heena Gavit is better than the other person. So I think, yes, it was challenging, but I got to learn a lot.
What's more difficult, being an MBBS doctor, being an MD, or being a member of parliament? MP now, or MD, what's more difficult?
I think now becoming an MP is more difficult, because MD, we have a fixed curriculum, we have a fixed syllabus, but for MP there is no fixed syllabus. We have to work 24/7 for the people. So
but she deserves a huge hand. Very few people know to defeat the person she did. What, 8-time MP?
9-time.
9-time MP is what she defeated at the age of 26, which is quite remarkable for you, Heena. But when I look at the numbers, Priyanka Chaturvedi, the numbers are heavily weighed against you. At the moment in Parliament, there are about 78 women MPs, which is just about 14% of Parliament. I look at the British Parliament, it's up to 32%. Do you ever really think that we will reach a stage where women will get, forget about 49, 50%, forget reservation, that we will even have 30% of our Parliament will be women? Will we even reach that stage ever, or will the men never allow it?
That is exactly what we were discussing at lunch. Every time asking a woman, is she getting the raw deal? It's very important to have men having this conversation, that how many seats are you willing to let go to have women in your place? So that is a very important question to have. This entire onus of more representation, etc. Of course, I can give you experiences. We are all sharing our experiences. But it's also important to hear the other gender. How much are they willing to let go? Every time I talk about a reservation, even if it's not been passed in the parliament, they're like, tum hamari naukri khatre mein dal rahi ho, Priyanka. Why are you talking about a 50% reservation? I said, because we're 50% of this country. So I will ask for that 50% reservation if you haven't been able to provide that to us. But I am always hopeful, and I'm hoping that political parties are realizing, and I must tell you why they're realizing that it is important to have women representatives, because women are coming out in larger numbers to vote and make their vote count. So it has become an entire constituency in itself to have women in political parties playing important roles. So I'm definitely hopeful that there would be more representation in times to come.
Let's do a poll. How many people in this audience believe we should have 33% reservation for women in assemblies and in parliament. That's not, well, that's about almost all. You know, it's interesting they'll raise their hands here. But if this was a gathering of politicians, you can be sure none of them would raise their hands. Or they would pretend to raise their hands and then not go ahead with it. But I want to ask you, Pankaja, taking off from there, is there a women's vote bank? Priyanka made an interesting point. More and more women. The last election saw for the first time more women in India voting than men. And do you believe that politicians have realized women vote bank is there? Will Mahilas vote for a Mahila? Do they vote for a Mahila or do they vote for whoever's the best candidate?
I feel it should be they should vote for the best candidate. That will be fair. Because I'm not going to judge the candidate on the gender based, you know. But women vote bank is a very, very strong vote bank. And all the men are eyeing on the women vote bank. Because all the men are also planning their strategies looking at women vote bank. All of us, all the politicians, because the decisions they are taking, the schemes they are designing, they are mostly now, if you see this whole decade, all the schemes are women-centric. Right from Beti Bachao to women empowerment, lot of things are women-centric, and that is a big vote bank. So convincing women is something different, and voting for women is different. I feel everyone should vote for the good candidate.
You know, but do women speak out enough, Praniti? I mean, we've had the terrible Bilkis Banu case, for example, where her rapists and murderers have been remitted. Their sentence has been remitted. Why don't I see more women coming together and saying enough is enough across party lines and saying we are not going to accept this? You know, why is, just as there is a women's vote bank, can women politicians come together, form a coalition of women politicians? Possible?
Yeah, I think it is, because even when we're in parliament or when we're in the assemblies, we all across party lines come together over various issues, whether it's reservation, whether it's the Shakti bill which was passed in the Maharashtra assembly. We've come together, of course, we have to speak louder than the men to be heard, to make our mark, but and more often than not, when we're speaking against something that is supported by the people in power, it's questionable how much of us are heard or how much of us are taken seriously. So I think that is an important issue here, because just yesterday there was a controversy in Maharashtra, and you know what I'm talking about, where women are getting objectified by the government in power, and then the moment we speak against them, they try to silence our voices. They silence voices of the common woman, where they're trying to silence voices of people's representatives. So imagine the misery of the common woman.
No, are you saying that the male politicians don't take a woman seriously in politics?
They never do. You have to prove your point. You have to make your mark. You have to work very hard to tell them that we're serious about what we're doing. There's a mental block, and not just in politics, but I'm sure most women here would agree as well. You said women make really good politicians. I would say women make really good career women. Women make very good leaders. But there's a mental block against accepting a woman as a leader in everywhere. It's a society issue, and I think all of us need to oppose this together. So as a woman politician, it's very difficult for us to survive. It is the survival of the fittest. We have to speak louder. You know, Pankaja gets tagged, I get tagged for being aggressive, but we have to be assertive and aggressive to make our presence felt in politics.
Yes, Priyanka, you wanted to add?
I have two small points to make with regards to the Bilkis Banu issue. It was a woman member of parliament who's challenged this in the Supreme Court. That's
one of them who's Mahua Moitra is one of
the many petitioners. But you have to give her that credit. I will talk about the bully by Suli deals that happened, which totally objectified women from the minority. They embarrassed them, they tried to undermine them, they tried to humiliate them. And it was me who spoke to the commissioner, Mumbai police commissioners, kept speaking about it till the IT minister took note of it and ensured that this was done. However, when you talk about women speaking across political parties, unfortunately, when I entered the parliament, my idea was that I'll get women members of parliament to rise above their politics and speak about gender-based issues, specifically gender-based, irrespective of our politics. For us to actually address this issue, we have somehow not been able to get everybody on board. So that is reducing ourselves to our political narratives.
You know, the flip side, of course, is that, you know, women are told you handle health, women and child welfare. These are your departments. You can't deal with defense. You know, defense is a male portfolio. Nirmala Sitharaman has broken a ceiling. Finance minister is now a woman.
Sushma Swaraj was defense.
Sushma Swaraj became a foreign affairs minister. Indira Gandhi, congresswoman, will remind us of Indira Gandhi every time you speak about Nirmala Sitharaman. But Heena Gavit, is it true that there are certain departments that are seen कि महिलाओं के लिए ये department reserved है?
It used to be earlier, but now you only mentioned that defense, supposedly a male-dominated field, has had women ministers leading that. Finance, a very important portfolio, is with a women minister. So I think slowly that trend is changing now, and so-called that stamp that this department only a male can lead, I think that is now slowly
You don't agree?
Cheeky response to that.
Yes, Pankaja, you first.
Actually, when I was given ministry, Women and Child Welfare Ministry was mandatory to give it
That
to
was
me.
your first ministry.
But I got rural development, water conservation. So that was a very good opportunity for me to prove rural development was never given to a woman ever in the past. So I felt it was a challenge for me to perform how much ever I could in that ministry. But as she said, there is everything is changing. People are accepting defense, finance, and external affairs. These portfolios were given to women. Of course, our country was run by a women prime minister. We have a women president. But my question is, this will change the look of the decision maker who is giving those decisions. But will this really change fate of common women? Is the biggest fight we are going to face.
That's a big question. Priyanka Chaturvedi, you come from a very male-dominated party. When I look at the Shiv Sena, I mean, the imagery of the Shiv Sena is very machismo. I mean, that was its sort of early years were very, very male-dominated. Do you feel, honestly, a fish out of water?
Absolutely not. As far as the local bodies are concerned, we have over 50% women candidates who have won, who have been mayors, deputy mayors, have important positions. In fact, in the legislative council, we have a woman vice chairperson. So this is another thing. And when we come back to this argument, oh, it's a very male-dominated party, the first leader after perhaps Sri Rahul Gandhi would have been Uddhav Thackeray-ji, who spoke on the podium, on the Shera rally, making it about Bilkis Bano and making people realize that a government which cannot respect its women cannot do justice to the role that they're playing. So I totally dismiss this charge, and the largest chunk of supporters that we are getting are women, women citizens of the state who are supporting the government which fell. And just a cheeky response to what they said women are breaking barriers and they're going beyond the decided roles. I think this unconstitutional government has done away with women totally. There is no woman in the cabinet. They have given the responsibility of women and child welfare to Sri Lodha ji, that you allow us to handle it. I mean, he'll be doing a better job of it perhaps. So they've made changes, like she said. There are changes happening. So this unconstitutional government has shown that they can run a government. The biggest state of, amongst the second biggest state in India, can run without a woman in the cabinet.
But do women have to also conform that if you are in politics, you're going to have to dress a particular way, look a particular way, particularly in your public appearances. You can't be, in that sense, you have to be a conservative woman in terms of your dress, if not your attitudes in terms of, is that true or not? That you can't, you are very conscious of your public appearance all the time. Is that true?
Yeah, so I think what you're saying is absolutely right, because Pankaja Tai just mentioned that women are being judged. So irrespective of what we think, how we work, sometimes how we dress up becomes a talk of the town, that, oh, she wore this and she came to the parliament. Oh, she wore this and she went to a public function. So I think that, that mindset has to change. So I absolutely, agree. And see, now we are all dressed in Indian dresses. We could have wore a jeans and t-shirt. But yes, we have to, when we go to any formal function, we have to dress up in a particular way, and I think my colleagues will also agree to that.
Because I remember during the women's reservation bill debate, Sharad Yadav had said, "Ye parkati mahilaएं hain. Sab parkati mahila aayegi, short-haired women will enter." So you would have been Priyanka Chaturvedi for Sharad Yadav, a parkati woman. Short-haired. But there are stereotypes in a way that still exist. Is that changing in Parliament? Do you really see it changing? Be honest, because we don't know what happens in your committees and your meetings. Do they still look at you as ye Priyanka Chaturvedi kahan se aa gayi?
हाँ वो तो खैर सभी पूछते हैं why does the politicians ये कहाँ से आ गई types, but no, I think that mindset is changing quite a bit in terms of, except for we had one incident yesterday where a woman journalist happened to ask Sambhaji Bide ji a particular question and he said, तुम बिंदी नहीं लगाती हो तो मैं तुम्हारे सवाल का जवाब नहीं दूंगा. So we have moments like these, but we women are taking that head on. We are fighting. So when a chief minister of Uttarakhand had said, ये ripped jeans वाली महिलाएं कभी भी अच्छी माँ नहीं हो सकती हैं. So I wore a ripped jeans and I said, boss, I am a good mother, I am a good politician, and you don't judge me on the basis of my ripped jeans. It was just a matter of time before he had to step down. So the point is that till you don't push those barriers, till you don't push that male-dominated thought process, we are going to continue to confine ourselves. Why should I confine myself to what Sharad Yadav ji thinks of women with short hair? I have short hair, I'm happy with it, live with it.
No, I also think we live in two different Indias. There's a rural India which I represent. So it's a little difficult for people to accept say ripped jeans or whatever, but I think that mindset, like she said, should change. We are somewhere succumbing to the fact that people will not like us in jeans in the constituency that we represent. But again, it's a question of mindset. Until all of us speak, why are we always looked at the way we dress? Why can't people start looking at women beyond that? Why can't we be looked at for what we do and the work we do? And I feel that is changing slowly but surely. And like Priyanka Gandhi, a couple of years ago, she entered in trousers and a shirt in the Parliament House. And there was a big hoo-ha about it. But I think somewhere, all of us across party lines, I think we should start the change, and that's,
You should have all come to the program in ripped jeans. All four of you would have come to this program in ripped jeans.
I think we should all
see, basically there is a formal attire in every country about certain programs. So this is our formal attire. But I go to my office so many times wearing jeans, t-shirt, track pants, I go from my gym straight. So I got people used to seeing me in for Western outfits also. Of course, I'll wear decent clothes because that's how I am brought up. That doesn't have anything to do with what I am. People should not judge you on what you're wearing. But definitely in this country, people accept bad character men, but not a good-dressed woman. That is surprising and shocking and sad.
We've just got a couple of minutes, and I'm going to ask you this question because before we started off, I had told Heena about how Mamata Banerjee once told me that she had to be aggressive because that's the only way the men in her party would take her seriously as this party's supremo. And Heena agreed and said, "Naitar te amala khaun jatil," which only in Marathi you will understand, which means they'll finish us otherwise. Given that, I want to ask all four of you, do you have a role model woman politician in India? Someone whom you really admire. You start, Heena. It could be a male model, it could be a male politician or a female. Is there someone you really admire? But preferably a woman. Who's that one woman politician you say, wow, that's the way a woman politician should be?
So women politician, if you ask, I would say Sushma Swaraj ji. She is somebody I really admire, and when first time I became a parliamentarian, I went to the library and I used to study her speeches also because she used to speak wonderful. The way she used to work, I think she is one role model that if you ask a women role model, and if you ask me in general, I would say it's my father because whatever I have learned is from him and I really follow him.
Okay. Yeah. Pankaja Munde, who's your role model woman politician?
So only woman politician I have to say.
You tell me male and woman.
See, I always feel there is no leaderess. It is always a leader. So leader should be not gender biased. We will have to achieve that stage. But I always admired Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I had at home only Pramod Mahajan, Gopinath Munde, so if I say their name, but what I have become today is what I've learned from my father, definitely. But as she said, I'll second that, because Sushma ji, as a child, I've grown up seeing Sushma ji, and she was my role model. Still today, I really feel I want to be like her. Because it's not only about a politician, the kind of person she was, the orator she was, how she's, what she did for party. I really seen her journey very closely, and I really want to be like her. That's what is role model.
Okay, so you hopefully could become External Affairs Minister one day as a result. Priyanka Chaturvedi, who's your role model, woman politician?
So, it would sound very cliched, but I have grown up watching her and wanting to be like her and imbibe her values, and the aggression that she had would be Indira Gandhi ji. I don't have two thoughts in my mind whenever I think of any woman who inspired me when I was growing up and wanting to be like her, to be in politics and break that entire barrier of, women in politics. And the second would definitely be Sushma Swaraj, with the way she used to speak, the way she used to conduct herself. I think it was, and every challenge she was willing to take her way. So those are two people, but Indira Gandhi ji by far, because a lot of how I've seen her has inspired me to do more.
Okay, Praniti Shinde.
Goes without saying Indira Gandhi, because I think today, especially in today's day, she's so relevant in today's age, because she was a leader of the masses and she mingled equally well with international leadership as well. She took some stunning decisions for the country, due to which we are where we are now. And today, I think we need a leader like her. She's inspired all of us across party lines. And of course, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, for the struggle that she went through, the pain that she went through, she got the party together in spite of what she went through. That's commendable. And of course, my father, because of he still teaches me that it's the survival of the fittest, and you have to sort of keep going to reach where you are. So, but yes, Mrs. Gandhi for sure, and we miss her leadership.
I thought one of you would at least name Mayawati, Mamta or Jayalalitha. Because these were the three women politicians I have seen who know how to put men in their place.
I really am so, actually it just skipped out of my mind. I also like Jayalalitha ji when I went for her funeral just to take her darshan, because I was so, even her fight. See, every woman has a very tough story. So if you could, you asked us name one, but even they are heroes of today. Whatever party lines, they are all.
Okay, we'll leave it there. I only hope that we have many more such role models and many more women reaching the very top in politics. We only have one woman chief minister at the moment, and that's a statistic that is simply not acceptable for a country where women are, I can tell our viewers, we have the highest percentage at the moment of women pilots compared to men anywhere in the world, and that's reason to celebrate. Hopefully one day we can celebrate and say we have the highest percentage of women politicians, MPs and MLAs compared to any other part of the world. That's the future. Women are the future of this country. Thank you all very much for joining us here on this very special show. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'd like to welcome on stage Dr. Seema Saini, CEO, NL Dalmia Education, to present a token of appreciation to our wonderful panelists today. Just one moment, just one moment.